Hi everyone! In today's video, I'm going to teach you how to knit a pair of cozy gloves. And for this pattern, you need one ball of basic wool yarn and a set of double pointed needles. So let's get started. So let's start with casting on our stitches. So grab your yarn, and I will use about maybe ½ meter. Then I will make my slip knot there. So to make a slip knot, you wrap the yarn around your fingers, cross them over, slide the loop off, and pull the yarn through like this. So for this knitting project, we're going to work with 4 knitting needles, and you have the 5th to work with. So we're going to divide all of our 28 stitches on 4 needles. So one way to do it, you can cast on all of your stitches on one needle and then divide them to the 4. But I will show you how I do it all at once, or all on the 4 of them, but one at a time. So let's do it like this. I start with knitting needle 1. So I have the tail over my thumb, the working yarn between my index finger and middle finger, and then I hold both yarns like this with the rest of my fingers. And I work with my needle under the yarn by my thumb, and then over the yarn by my index finger, and pull it through the loop and tighten it. So under where the thumb is, over by the index finger, and pull the yarn through. So do that so you have 7 on your first knitting needle. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Then I grab the next needle. Then we do the same thing. So I just try to hold them both together. So the second one is a little bit further than the first one. So then I just continue. So I have 1. Now try to hold them quite close so I don't have too long of a string in between the stitches. So I have 1 on my second needle, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Grab a bit more yarn. Now I have my 2 knitting needles. Gonna get my third one. Let's see, number 3. And I just add them like this, and I try to hold them all together. So third one, 1 stitch, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Slide them back a little, and last one, 7. I grab my 4th and last needle. It is a little bit tricky, but you will get the hang of it. So 1, just tighten it a little bit, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. There we go. So now I have the stitches on my 4 knitting needles, and we're going to work in a square like this. Let's see, something like that. Oops, this is the wrong way. Requires a little bit of patience, this one. There we go. Now we'll show you how we start knitting in the round. So to start knitting, I have grabbed my 5th knitting needle, and so you can see here is the gap between the first and the last knitting needle. So I'm just gonna hold the working yarn over my index finger, and this is my first stitch right here. So with my 5th needle, we're gonna use the knit stitch technique. So we dive in from the front right here, then I yarn over. Let's see if you can see, like that. I'm just gonna adjust this one. So I yarn over, and then I pull the yarn through the loop. Okay, one more time. From the front in the loop, yarn over, and go through the loop and slide it off. So just make 1 knit stitch all the way around on all 4 needles. So now I have knitted almost all the way around. Knit my last one right here. There you go. We can tighten it a little bit like that. So this is the square we're gonna knit, and just keep knitting the same technique all the way around until you reach about, for me it's enough with 15 centimeters, because this is gonna be the first step of your glove. Let me show you. So the wrist of your glove, so this section right here. So from where you want your glove to start all the way up to where your thumb begins. So for me, that was 15 centimeters was enough, but you would decide yourself how long you want your glove to be. So just keep knitting and then measure as you go and write down so you know for the next glove. So now I'm happy with the length of my wrist. So I'm just going to try it on and show you how I measure. So I start where the base of my thumb is, and then I just see how long I want this to be. And for me, it was 15 centimeters. So that's my cue to stop. And you can of course make it as long or short as you like. So the next step now is to grab a different piece of yarn in a color that stands out. And we're going to knit the first 6 stitches of our first knitting needle, and those 6 stitches are for the thumb. So grab the yarn, try to hold it as tight as you can, and start knitting the first 6 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Just let it be there. You can tuck the tails in on the inside. Then we grab our working yarn, the original color, and knit the last stitch with this one. Don't pull it too tight back here, because we can tie this up later on. But now we're going to continue knitting with our original yarn all the way around. So 1, when we have worked all the way around, we're back to the start. We're gonna keep knitting just over these stitches with the different yarn. We just knit in that other thread, and that's the way it's supposed to be. And we just keep knitting. Just make sure you don't pull out the new yarn. Try to hold it as tight as you can, because we can tighten it here in the back as we go. So, and just keep knitting until you reach the top of your pinky finger. I need to pull this one as well, right there. Let me just finish here and I will show you. So keep knitting until you reach the top of your pinky finger. And the next step after that is to make the decrease at the top of the glove. But for now, you can just keep knitting. Keep knitting all the way around until you reach the top of your pinky finger. And I will meet you there and show you how we do the next step. So now I am knitting the last stitches, and I'm going to try it on. And I'm going to keep this mark right here where I can feel the knuckle of where my thumb starts. And then I know that it's all the way up to where my pinky finger is. So now I have the length of the glove that I find is okay for me, and I have measured it, and I know it's 24 centimeters. So I'm going to write that down for the next glove. So now the next step is to make the decrease. We're going to start the tip of the glove. And that pattern is made that we start with knitting. I will show you. So we make a decrease. We knit 1 stitch. And then the next 2 we knit together like this. And then we knit the rest of the stitches normally. So the decrease is 1 stitch on every knitting needle. Then we go to the next stitch, next knitting needle. Repeat the same thing. We knit 1, then we knit 2 together, and then the rest normally. And the decrease is made on every other round. Done with my first round. So the next round, I knit every stitch normally. So now I have decreased 1 stitch on every needle. So you can see I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So next round, I just knit every stitch. And then after that, I make a decrease. And I repeat that pattern until I have 2 stitches left on every needle. So now you can see I have made all my decreases down to where I have 2 stitches on every needle. And then I ended with making 1 round where I knit all the stitches normally. So now we are gonna close the top. So for that, I'm gonna grab a scissor, cut the yarn off. I have a little bit to work with. And I think it's easiest to use a crochet needle, maybe this one. You can also use like a needle where you can thread the yarn through, but I like to work with that crochet needle. So grab the yarn like this. I carefully remove one of my knitting needles and I insert my crochet hook. And then I pull the yarn through the loops like that, and I work my way all around. So I remove my needle, pull the yarn through. The last 2, and then we just tighten the top. And then I'm going to go from the inside of the glove. Let's see if I can fold it up a little bit with my crochet hook. Go through the center of the top and I pull the yarn through to the inside. Then we turn the glove inside out. I have the yarn right here. Then we just tighten the top as good as we can. I'm going to work with a little bit smaller needle now actually. And then we need to make a knot somewhere. So just around one of the stitches, I just make a knot like this. And tighten it really, really tight. You can make 1 or 2. And then we just hide the yarn through some of the stitches like this. Go back and forth a little. It's messing with me a little bit. Something like that. And then we cut the yarn off. Turn the glove back to the right side. Now we can see the tip. Looks so good. And of course you can try it on. Yeah, it fits perfectly. So for the next step, we're gonna knit the thumb. So to start knitting the thumb, we're gonna start with removing this yarn that we marked as where the thumb is gonna be. So carefully, we unwrap this. So just carefully pull them through all the loops until we have a hole for where the thumb is going to be. I just remove the yarn. So now you can see, I think you can see quite good there, that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 loop at the bottom and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at the top. So to start knitting here, we're going to turn this into the same pattern that we did before. we're going to have 4 knitting needles like this. And to make that work, we need to add some stitches to also not make sure that this gap right here and on this side is not too big. So first I start with my first needle and I add these, just secure all the loops and all the stitches, so I know that I have them in safety. So grab your yarn and we're going to start with knitting the first 4. So just hold the yarn tight and knit 4. And oops, escape from me, and 4. Just pull this a little tight. And then we grab a new needle and we knit the next 2. See if I can see there. So 1 and 2. Now we're going to add some stitches. So let me see if I can show you the middle section here. So we're going to add 2 stitches here. So 1 here in this corner and 1 up here in this corner. So dive down with your needle in the corner and just hook the yarn and kind of pull it up so you added a loop. And then 1 more over here. We dive down, let's see, in this one. So now I have 4 loops on my second needle. Then we continue. And I knit my next 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then again, grab a new needle. We knit the last one. And now we're going to add 3 more stitches. Just hide the little tip right there. So now I hide 1 here in the beginning. Oops. Let's see, I want this to not be in the way, please. So I dive down with my needle in the first corner. I kind of hook the yarn and pull it up. So I have 2 loops and I make 1 in the middle the same way and 1 in the corner over here, right there. So now I have 4 loops on all 4 knitting needles. So now we can start with knitting the thumb. So I begin from the start right here and I knit every stitch as they are until I reach about 2/3 of the length of my thumb before we start with the decrease. So knit for a few rounds and try it on. And I usually go up to about this part of my thumb. And I will meet you there and show you how we make the decrease. So now I knitted a couple of rounds and I'm going to try on to see how long my thumb is. So for me, this is good. And I knitted 5 rounds just so you have a reference, but you stop wherever it feels good for you. So you can measure it with the measuring tape, but I decided on counting the rounds. So I have that as well. So for the decrease, that is the next step. I'm just going to turn this around so I have the right needle in front of me. So we're going to do the same thing that we did for the glove, or the tip of the glove, that we knit 1, and then we knit 2 together, and then the last one normally. And repeat this on all the knitting needles. So before the tip of the glove, we did 1 round decrease and then 1 round normally. But for the thumb, we do 1 round decrease and then 2 rounds normally. So just keep going So you make 1 round of decrease and 2 rounds normally, and then 1 more round of decrease. So we go down to 2 stitches per needle. Knit it all the way around. So now I have 3 stitches on each needle. Then I'm going to knit 2 rounds normally, and then I'm going to make another decrease. So do that, and then when you are down to 2 stitches on each needle, you can decide if the thumb is long enough, or you need to knit a few more rounds to make it the length you like. And then it's time to close the thumb, and I will meet you there. So this is what it looks like. Now that I have knitted my first round of decrease, then I made 2 rounds, no decrease, 1 round decrease, and 2 rounds, no decrease. So I'm down to 2 stitches per needle, and it looks something like this. Hope you can see it, like that. So now it's just to try it on, and I feel that it's long enough. And like the tip of the glove, we're now going to close it the same way we did before. So I grab a crochet hook, because that's what's easiest for me, and I remove 1 of my needles, and I pull the yarn through like this, and with the other one. And the 2 last ones. We just pull the tip tight like this, and then we go in from the bottom with the crochet hook to the center, and I get the yarn into the inside like that. Turn it inside out. Find it, pull it through. So now we're just going to make some knots to secure it. Go in through a stitch, pull it through, make a little loop, and tighten it with a knot like that. Oops, like that. And just hide it in between some stitches, back and forth like that. Maybe 1 or 2 more. 1 and last one. Just cut the yarn off. Now we can hide these ends right here too from the beginning of the thumb. Just make a little knot. Just hide all the loose ends and hide them. Then we turn the glove inside out. Oh, actually this one as well. And for this one that we had in the beginning, we cut this in half and we make 2 knots. This is a little short, so just be a little bit patient with it. Make a knot, hide it, and the same thing with the other one. When you're done hiding everything on the inside, we turn it back to the right side out. And don't forget to hide the first string here from the slip knot we made in the beginning. now I feel I'm done. I'm just gonna cut the last tail off. And there you have it, your glove. And as you can see, since we don't have a specific pattern on the top, it actually fits for both my hands. So you can make one exactly the same now, so you have a matching pair. Great job! You've made it to your very own pair of gloves. Great job! And thank you so much for knitting with me and MYO today. And don't forget to check out more videos on our website, and I'll hope to see you in the next one. Bye!